Welcome to the 7th Digital Pathways Seminar. This digital literacy series for small business owners is made possible by the Metropolitan Partnership Development Fund, an initiative from the Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions. It is a collaboration between Bayside, Boroondara, Glen Eira and Stonington City Councils. This seminar will explore the delight phase of the sales cycle relating to having the customer take action and the post-purchase phase. So today we're looking at taking a closer look at the delight stage, exploring some delight techniques, and then looking at some examples of the delight stage in action. Now, to remind you, the delight refers to your customer's experience with your brand after they have taken action. The goal is to provide a positive, impactful experience to your customer so that they become loyal brand ambassadors. So it's all about your experience, their experience with your brand after they've taken action. This is how you begin creating customer advocates who bring more clients into the flywheel, ultimately making marketing and growing a business a whole lot easier for you. Now, today I'll be discussing the elements of the delight stage that relate to the action or the purchase point and their post-sales experience. Next week, we'll be focusing on encouraging customer loyalty and how to give your customer the resources they need to become an advocate of your brand. I want to take a second to reinforce what we mean when we say take action. In digital marketing, taking action can mean purchase if you are an e-commerce store, but for many of you, action is really just going to mean the last thing a lead does with your digital presence before they become a client or a customer. Basically refers to whatever you want your digital presence to achieve. So action can mean putting through a purchase or requesting an order. Subscribing if you have a streaming service like a fitness streaming service or a media streaming service, putting in a quote request if you are in a trade, putting in an initial consultation request if you're professional services like an accountant or a medical therapist of some kind, finding an address, directions or opening hours if you're a cafe or a bar, making a reservation if you're a restaurant, if you're beauty or hair services, or if you run fitness classes, send you a direct message on social media if you run an informal e-commerce setup, for example, an artist or a tattoo artist are businesses that commonly use this method, or downloading software for a free trial, something like a free 7-day trial if you offer software as a service. Now, at the delight stage of the cycle, the key thing to do is communicate. If we go back to the end relationship analogy, the delight stage of the sales flywheel is where your customer feels most vulnerable. They've finally made their commitment to you and they've said, I want to give this relationship a chance. It's now your time to hold up your end of the bargain and deliver on what you've promised. Now, good relationships rely on strong communication so that both parties understand what is happening and what to expect. It's no different in the relationship between a business and their customer. It now becomes your job to let your customer know what you're doing with their information, their inquiry, or their money. This means communicating every time something happens after they take action. So providing an order confirmation, a booking confirmation, a booking reminder, a shipping notification. Your job here is, of course, to make your customer happy. And of course, part of that is going to be your product or service, but another part is the ease with which that they are able to get what they want online. So in digital marketing, user experience, abbreviated to UX or UE, refers to how a user interacts with and experiences your website or your digital presence. It includes a person's perceptions of utility, ease of use, and efficiency. So some examples of what a smooth user experience might mean include things like minimizing the amount of times your customer has to click once they decide to take action, making sure your website loads in time, making sure your site is both mobile and desktop friendly, offering a range of payment options, for example, not just credit card, but PayPal and the pay in as you go apps such as Afterpay, Klarna, ZipPay, etc. Not asking the client to give more information is absolutely necessary, so they're not spending a lot of time filling out a form. Explaining what the next step is post-action. Again, are they going to get a confirmation email? Is someone going to discuss their needs? When is that going to happen? How is that going to happen? User experience is part of marketing, but it also intersects with web design and development. So this is not an exhaustive list, but it will be something that we're going to be looking quite closely at in workshops this week. The other thing you need to do is positively reinforce your customer's decision to take action. So make the point of welcoming your customer to your brand family once they've made a purchase, or express that you are looking forward to having them dine or working with them soon. This can be done on the post-action screen on your website or in an email that you send. Additionally, make sure that all of your post-action communication fall in line with your brand in terms of language and imagery. And finally, you need to provide very strong customer service at this stage. So you need to ensure that it's clear where your customer can make contact if they have any questions or concerns, and outline things like returns policy, cancellation policy, COVID operating requirements, etc. So your customer can be informed before they receive their product or attend their booking. Now, these are some additional delight-inducing techniques for e-commerce. They're not necessary. They do boost the customer's overall enjoyment of the brand and the purchase process. And they're particularly important if all of your customer service is provided online. Your whole brand experience comes from the digital space. So some options include generous return policies, free shipping or express shipping at no additional cost with a specialist courier, diverse payment options, as I mentioned before, live chat customer service. So, a chat box that pops up on the website where within minutes you can be talking to a human, not a bot, and have your questions answered. Bonus gifts or samples, white papers or ebooks when they sign up, and the packaging, the final experience, what the product comes in, what it looks like, what that unpacking experience feels like, are also things to consider. Now let's look quickly at a few examples of the delight stage in action. So this is an example of a strong action communications for a service-based business. In this case, we're looking at a hairdresser. So the booking button is the initial point of action. The booking form should be simple. It's going to have name, email, phone number. They're probably also going to have to select time and date and the service that they want. This shouldn't be more than a page, and they shouldn't have to spend more than 2 or 3 minutes on it. A thank you screen should pop up confirming that the booking's been accepted by the website, and it'll note something like a confirmation email is going to be sent. Then they'll receive a confirmation email confirming the details of the booking, providing information on where to get in touch if they need to cancel or amend a booking, as well as things like COVID safe protocols. A booking reminder text is also a very common one in the beauty and hair care industry. So, a booking reminder text 2 days before the booking is due, ask the client to confirm that they're going to be attending, and then sending out an automated reply saying that you look forward to seeing them. If it's more of a professional service, something like accounting or a lawyer or a medical specialist, another email can be sent in place of this if you prefer a more polished approach. So here's an example of the delight stage working in an e-commerce space. So again, you have the checkout button. The checkout process shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 clicks. So you'll have a shipping and billing details page. Then you'll have to select payment options, and that will probably, if you select something like PayPal, it will shoot you off through the PayPal checkout, and then send you to the thank you screen. So, once the payment option has been put in, you shouldn't make the customer reconfirm anything. The payment should just go through. So 2 or 3 clicks maximum at that point. A thank you screen, again, telling them that an order confirmation will be sent, giving them probably a review of what they've just purchased and also a purchase number. Then an order confirmation email will be sent through, detailing things like the shipping timeframes, the returns policy. Again, it should feature things like what they have purchased and also be consistent with brand imagery and language. And then also a shipping notification once that's available, letting the consumer know who the shipping carrier is with, what the number is, again, what the shipping window is, probably reinforcing what they've purchased, and putting your returns policies down the bottom as well, and customer service links. So an example of e-commerce doing this particularly well is Everlane. This is an American site. It's focused on sustainability in fashion and transparency in the industry. It's really working against fast fashion, and that's really its focus. So here's an example of an order confirmation after making a purchase here. So we can see a lot of what we've just spoken about in action. This is all very much in line with the brand. So we've got the brand name. It's very simple. It's very clear. The focus and the thing that your eye is immediately drawn to is, again, reinforcing the customer's decision. Thanks for your order, Kate. So not just customer, it's individually named. They've taken the time to pull a name out of the billing information that you've entered. They then tell you what the next action will be, which is we'll send you an email when it's been shipped, and your order number, key details, shipping address, payment details, and shipping details, including the time frame. A place where you can check your order status on the confirmation page. So it's a hyperlink here. The clever thing that Everlane does is they have this made a mistake policy, which I have not seen with many other businesses. Basically, this is an opportunity where if you've made something like an impulse buy or regret your purchasing decision after you've done it, Everlane gives you a 1 hour window of grace to cancel your order. This is really in line with their branding, in the idea that they are very confident that you will be satisfied with the purchase. This is not a one-off purchase. This is not an impulse buy. This is a brand that you want to commit to and that you plan to stay loyal to, whose products you will enjoy for a long time in the future. But it's also working against the idea of fast fashion, which often relies, again, on that impulse buying kind of psychology. They also have next to it their return policy. It's really simply stated here. You can see the full one if you click on the view return policy button. They're reinforcing their brand sustainability again here with the image of the landscape, and then we're working to be more sustainable every day. So there's another piece of branding. Again, we're reinforcing the sustainable aspect of this brand, the ethics of this brand. Customer service sits underneath this, so contact here on our help page. And then they also have a refer a friend option. So that's encouraging loyalty, which we'll be discussing next week. Now, this page is a shipping confirmation. Once the order is shipped, again, we're reinforcing that the customer is now in a relationship with the brand. We're naming them. We're recognizing them. That's that's one of the biggest pieces, one of the biggest headings on this email. Got the order number again. We've got 2 tracking orders, so I can receive SMS updates on my order, or I can just track it online. Again, we've got the shipping address, payment details, and the shipping window. Got the order status. We've got the return process that can be actioned from here. We've got the return policy as well. We have an order summary, which is down the bottom. Then we have the return policy. We have another customer service call out here, and a referral encouragement as well. Now, here is an example of a more informal e-commerce setup. This example is, as I mentioned before, one where people take action through something like social media. It's quite common amongst artists, particularly tattoo artists. Tattoo artistry is a cash-run business. These people generally don't have formalized booking services. They are often individuals, so sole traders who work for a studio, but and pay a proportion of the money up to the studio. So they're really in charge of their own booking, their own client base, their own marketing. And it tends to be fairly simple and often offline. So an example of the delight stage in action with a tattoo artist is going to be something like sending them a direct message on Instagram when you want to book a session with them. And then you're probably going to enter into an immediate discussion with the artist about size, cost, and date. So the great thing about Instagram here and the action phase is that the moment you take action, you're immediately in contact with the sole trader and you're having a conversation with them. And so you're immediately in touch with them. There's no delay, there's no lag between sending an email and waiting for them to come back. You can see when they reply. It's not an involved process or a ritualized process. It's very simple, it's very quick. And in that conversation, you probably discuss, size, design, cost, and available dates. Usually tattoo artists will take a deposit. It's around $50. So they'll probably send you a PayPal link for that. Again, that would be just an informal kind of thing. But using something like PayPal gives the customer a degree of reassurance in that when they're putting down a deposit with a sole trader, they're putting it down with a company where they know that they can, there are avenues for dispute or return if required. Once the deposit is paid, you'll have an exchange of details, probably the address, the time. You might give them your name, your email, and your phone number. They will probably, leading up to the session, similar to a beauty service or a hairdressing service, send a reminder email reminding you of the time, the date. And post tattoo, they'll probably also send you out something like a healing information email. Now, the final example that we're going to look at today of the action stage and how to infuse delight into it is something like Paris at the South Cafe. So this is hospitality. This is the lightest touch kind of aspect of this, the action stage, where really there's no action for the user to take online. It's about getting information and then going out. So the thing that they do is probably they decide to attend the cafe. They might send a link to a friend. Then they'll probably do something like find an address and opening hours on Google. They'll probably then check social media to confirm that those are the correct hours, particularly something like COVID, when opening times have changed, operating times have changed. There can be some ambiguity, and just they'll want to make sure that what's said on the Google listing aligns with what they're saying on social media. So they get 2 points of reference to avoid something like a nasty surprise. They might send an inquiry via social media as well, asking a question like, do I need to make a booking? When is the best time to come? Maybe a menu consideration or something like that. Do I need to be double vaxxed? That kind of thing. And then they attend. So workshop tasks for this week. I did say that this was going to be a more intensive kind of week. We're going to drill down on user experience here. So your workshop task for this week is to map the user experience process for someone who wants to take action with your brand. So this is the first option. So examine things like how many clicks are required to complete an action. How long does it take the customer to complete an action? How much information do they have to provide? Do they have to sign up or create an account? Do they have to log in? Do they have to find a password? Do they have to go offline if they have questions or concerns? Do they have, if they've checked out online, do they then have to make a phone call if they decide that they need to amend their order or they have a question about shipping or something like that? Switching from online to offline can really be a friction point for a lot of customers. How many communication touch points are there between the time that they take action and the time that they receive their product or service? So are you reassuring them at each step of the action process? Are you reinforcing their choice? Are you offering them a lot of customer service? Are you telling them what's happening? That the booking is confirmed, that you're looking forward to seeing them, that your booking is coming up, all of that kind of information. The other option this week for workshop tasks is if you already have a website, ask a friend to user test your digital presence as if they were a customer. So ask for feedback in terms of clarity about what they needed to do. So was it clear what they had to do to get where they wanted to go, to make the booking, to make the purchase, and what your next step will be as a business? Are you going to contact them? Are you going to send them an email? Will you be ringing them? Is your order just going to appear out of the blue? Time and effort. Was it easy to complete? Was the time and effort expectation in line with, you know, what you're offering, what your business offers, what kind of time, the kind of costs involved, the commitment involved from the client? Communication. Was it clear where they could go if they had post-purchase questions? Was it obvious where customer service was available? And were your policies clearly visible? Things like return policies, shipping policies, COVID safe protocols, all of that kind of thing, cancellations. Options. Were the payment options sufficient? Was the shipping more than they expected? Were there any additional surprises at the checkout stage, something like extra taxes, or that they have to enter into more information? Design and functionality. Did the site load quickly? Do they have to scroll a lot? Do they have to click through a lot of windows? Was being redirected off-site annoying, or was it something that they expected as part of their shopping experience with your brand? So thank you so much for listening to today's seminar. I hope you tune in next week.